This evening. I will say to start the meeting, our city manager, Todd Meredith, is feeling a little bit under the weather, so he is joining us via Zoom, but he is present, and we thank everybody for being here. We'd like to begin our meetings with the Pledge of Allegiance, so I'll ask Gary Harris if he will lead us in the pledge.
Present arms. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. At this time, we'll ask that you join us in a moment of silence that this time may be used for prayer, silent reflection to prepare for the meeting, or however you choose to use your time. Thank you all very much. We do have minutes from February 23rd's regular meeting. Council, there were a number of changes that were distributed to you all prior to the start of the meeting. Do we have a motion to approve as amended, or are there additional changes?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve as amended. Any additional comment or second? Second. Motion and a second. Any thoughts? All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, at this time, we will open the floor for citizen comment on public matters. Since I think we have a few more folks here than normal, we do have a sign-up list up here on the podium. We can take a moment for folks to come and sign up to get in order so that we can take care of that. If you are interested in participating, we ask that you come down to the podium, state your name for the record. Please use the microphone so that we all can hear you here and online streaming. And also, you know, we're all neighbors in this community. We ask that everyone please treat each other with decorum and community spirit, and that we keep our attention focused on the matters at hand. All right, and we'll take a few moments for folks to sign up. All right, anyone else who wants to sign up to speak? Okay. Thank you very much. I will ask that when folks come up, again, you use the podium. Please use the microphone, state your name. I will call you up by your name, but also we do have our 3-minute clock up on the wall that you can monitor your time. We'll begin with Lee Slusher.
Good evening. I hope my voice will last. I've had a sinus infection. Talking without notes, I'm going to talk from the heart. I am not, for those that suspect here, I am not here to complain about a sanctuary city. That's not why I'm here. I'm here because of my disappointment with 3 council members. 2 is an old friend, 1 is an old friend. I was very disappointed about the motion to amend the to the agenda. I have served on boards. I've served on Radford City School Board, and I know the importance of having to change the agenda sometimes. Things come up. They happen. They have to be voted on. In my humble opinion, there was never any good notice other than some random petition running around Radford that it was even going to be brought up. I don't think there was good advertisement. I think it should have been on the 2 that voted against it, that it should be at a different meeting when both sides, and I believe in the 2-party system. Everybody in here that knows me knows which side I lean on. That has nothing to do with it. I am ashamed, I am disappointed that it was done the way it was, and Mr. Wolford, you and I go way back. I'm disappointed especially in you for being incorrect in your information. You've got to be careful what you Google. It was not correct information. Plus, I thought it was backdoor politics for a conversation that is so important in this country, and there are very strong feelings on both sides. We were never allowed to air it. So I am simply here to say how disappointed I am in the three of you that voted the way you do to push it on and keep it on the current agenda without either side other than one wife, and I love her too. But it doesn't hold a lot of water when it's the wife of a councilman talking, when she obviously knew it was going to come up tonight. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Liz Altieri.
I'm also, my name is Liz Altieri, and I live at 2308 8th Street, Radford. I would also like to make some comments about the Second Amendment resolution that was passed at the last meeting. The first echoes what Ms. Slusher had to say, and that is the issue of transparency, which you all have talked about being so important to you. A resolution that gets passed on behalf of Radford citizens needs to be on the agenda, and at the very least come up as new business and then tabled and allow people to come in and speak. We know this isn't a new issue. It came up in 2019, and the room was packed, as many of you will remember. There was a lot of passion, but people got to speak on both sides of the issue. Second, you passed a resolution that, even in your own words, is unenforceable and symbolic in nature. And I ask why you would do such a thing. Because all city officials and law enforcement officials must obey laws that get passed by the Commonwealth of Virginia. So I'm disturbed that such a measure would be passed in a symbolic way, knowing that it would be unenforceable. And third, the issue itself, because had I been allowed to speak, here is a couple of the things that I would have said. That, and I looked this up and researched this well, that in surveys that were done by highly respected surveys, Johns Hopkins Public Health Survey and the Gallup polls in 2005 and 2026 showed that the majority of Americans support stricter gun control laws and reasonable, common sense gun safety measures. I feel like the response that you all had was a knee-jerk reaction to the fact that the new administration in Richmond is proposing such measures. The reality is that 60 to 62% of Americans support reasonable gun control measures. And that's what I would speak about. My concern has always been the safety of the children in Radford. As you know, I served on the school board. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Kate Brennan. Okay, all right, well, thank you, Kate. Bill Fleischer.
Thank you. I don't have a comment tonight, I have questions. If somebody that won the lottery and they chose to pay the debt off for the city of Radford, do we have enough? Okay. If we had no debt in Radford, if somebody paid off the debt, the income going forward, does that exceed our expenses? And if so, how much? Do you have that answer? Because I've asked it before.
I think stay tuned for our budget process. I would say likely yes, but I think we're still working through an awful lot of issues related to that. And so we have a very long budget process coming up here in just a few weeks where we'll be talking about more of that.
I think that's the million-dollar question that we have to answer, and it's a great question.
Yeah, I'm surprised we don't have the answer already.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
I will say, we are so fortunate that we have been able to update our finance department, and Trish and them are doing phenomenal work, but there's a lot of backlog things, and I think we'll all agree to that they're having to tackle right now. So getting current has been a little bit of a struggle. Good work is being done, but there's a lot of it.
Okay, well, thank you. And the only other question I had was, I realized that Radford does not have anything to do with the wholesale adjustment cost that we pay on our utility bill. But do you happen to know if Radford citizens are paying the same rate of the wholesale adjustment amount that other municipalities are paying?
I think we'd have to get that answered. It's a complicated thing because we are a wholesale buyer and then resell to the citizens, whereas if someone lives in Blacksburg or Christiansburg, they're paying directly to the company. So that's a different fuel adjustment cost, different fee cost. So I can encourage the city manager to talk with Tim Logwood, our Director of Electric, and see how our costs compare to theirs.
I see. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Preston Beamer.
Preston Beamer. Normally, I don't get up and talk, but I'd like to congratulate every council member and Mark Armitrow for standing up for our rights to bear arms. It's a constitutional right. No one is going to tell me, other than the federal government, that I can't bear arms. And all the police officers here in town, they don't support that either. None of them do. Let me tell you why you need your guns in this city, because it is nothing but crime. I live up at the top of Grove Avenue on Downey Street there. In the last year and a half, I had 2 women across the street from me that had 3 little children. I'd hear a car horn blow. Well, people don't blow their car horns no more. They text somebody to tell them they're there. Well, I'd hear that car horn, and next thing I knew, one of those 3 little kids would go out to the driver's side of that car and stick its little hand in the window. I saw that happen 2 or 3 days in a row, so I called the police. And sure enough, those women were manufacturing meth and had those 3 children in the house. Nothing but poison. Not only that, you caught that murderer from West Virginia right behind my house. On top of that, they just had the U.S. Marshals and some people up there for another couple across the street there, and I'm sure they were manufacturing meth too. I'm just saying, this city, gangs in here now, it's not safe to go anywhere without a weapon. And I'm going to tell you right now, no one is coming to my house and taking any of my weapons. They'll have to go over me first. That's all I got to say.
Thank you. We'll ask Aaron Gleason to come forward. Aaron Gleason.
I just want to clear something up for everybody arguing about transparency and ambushing. There was 2 weeks worth of transparency. The same resolution that we submitted in 2019 was promptly dismissed without much discussion or tabling for a later meeting. And it was in front of that standing room only in this chamber. Recently, that same resolution was shared on Facebook with multiple posts about gathering public signatures for petition prior to the meeting on the 23rd. Even the Radford City Democrat page made a post about the resolution and petitioned for signatures on February 15th, 8 days prior to the meeting on the 23rd. Additionally, I keep hearing the term ambush, and if it was such an ambush, then why did the mayor have notes in front of him regarding the Heller case, specifically regarding the Scalia decision, and additionally had a copy of his email to the legislatures from 2019 already on hand and ready to read? The mayor was aware, the local Democratic Party leadership was fully aware, yet no one in the opposition chose to attend the meeting to share their thoughts. Maybe it was arrogance, elitism, or apathy. Now, regarding Councilwoman Foster's concerns and others about asking our law enforcement to not uphold the law, I ask which laws are to be enforced. The current laws in accordance with the U.S. and Virginia constitutions, or the new proposed bills that may get signed into law that are repugnant to both constitutions I just mentioned. As to the mayor's concerns about Dillon rule and state funding, I ask again, which laws should be obeyed? As far as state funding goes, will the state reimburse Radford for legal expenses incurred by any lawsuits presented against the city if these new laws are enacted, enforced, and then ruled unconstitutional? If someone gets charged with breaking a law that is later deemed to conflict with the state and federal constitution rights, the city may be named in a civil suit and held responsible for financial compensation paid to someone found guilty prior to the law being overturned. That's all I got.
Thank you. If there's no further public comment, we will close that portion of the meeting. Council, is there any additional thoughts at this point in time? I will reserve my comments until council comments later in the meeting, and as such, we will move on. We do have a report. Our fiscal year 2026-27 health insurance. City of Radford issued an RFP through our third-party broker, USI, for medical, dental, and vision insurance on the 12th of January in 2026 with a closing date of January 30th. Carrie Smith and Katie Trimble from USI are here this evening to present the results of the RFP. So welcome. We're glad to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, everyone. I'm Katie Trimble. I'm with USI. And as mentioned, I'm going to present the health insurance RFP results. Take your time. Perfect. Okay, so first we wanted to talk about some drivers of healthcare inflation. And number one, starting with upcoding. And what this means, large claims that come in, large healthcare conglomerates are taking healthcare codes and upcoding them. And what that means is they are charging insurance companies as much as they can, essentially, by using the highest code that they can and submitting that to the health insurance companies. Also, network contracts between carriers and healthcare providers have been renegotiated to account for higher provider wages and more aggressive hospital pricing strategies. Carriers are bracing for the possible impact of tariffs on the cost and availability of medical goods, such as personal protective equipment, single-use consumables, and devices. Pharmacy costs are continuing to rise. I'm sure you've heard about the GLP-1 drugs, the Ozempic, the expensive injectables. Those are driving the healthcare costs up considerably. And also, behavioral health service usage has gone up significantly, with longer treatment durations and higher per episode costs, which contribute to the expense. So for the executive summary, we're going to talk about which carriers we went to quote during the RFP process. We went to Aetna, and they declined to quote based on the information that we provided. We also went to Emeritus to quote for dental and vision. We received quotes back, but they were not as competitive as the other carriers. Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield, who we're currently with, they went ahead and put a bid in for medical and drug, dental, as well as vision. Cigna declined to quote based on the information that we provided. Delta Dental, the current dental carrier, came back with a quote for us, which was competitive, and we'll talk about that. IMED, who is the current vision carrier for the health plan, came back to us with a quote as well for for vision. MetLife came back to us with quotes for dental and vision as well, but they were not deemed competitive. Centera Health, not as large as Cigna and Aetna and Anthem. They came back to us with a bid. It was not as competitive as Anthem's. United Healthcare came back to us with a quote, again, not as competitive as Anthem's. United Concordia declined to quote based on the information provided, and VSP also declined to quote. They're a vision carrier. For the final decisions that we've put into place for this fiscal year, for the medical, Anthem originally proposed a 15% increase to the current benefit plan design, meaning your current benefits. We negotiated with Anthem for a final 9% renewal offer with the current plan benefits and the current network. By changing the current plan over to the Health Keepers Network, which is a very comparable network to the KeyCare PPO network that you're currently on, it just has lower rates. We modified the plan benefits and deductible to a $1,500 deductible for an individual and a $3,000 deductible for a family or more than one on your plan. We were able to achieve a 2.6% premium increase. and that represents a $400,000 savings from the initial renewal offer from Anthem. And we also negotiated a $90,000 one-time administration credit for moving over to the Health Keepers platform with Anthem. For the vision plan, Anthem's Blue View Vision Plan came in with a competitive bid below iMed's renewal offer. So we will be moving over to Blue View Vision this year, which will integrate your medical with your vision plan. And we negotiated an additional 5% savings for employees, which overall represents a 27% decrease in rates and a $4,500 premium savings for employees. And we have a 36-month contract with those savings. And for the dental plan, we're staying with Delta Dental. They had the most competitive bid. It's a 3.8% increase to the current dental plan for the high and the low plan. With minor changes to the plans, we were able to achieve a 3% decrease to cost, which represents a $3,300 savings in premium. And how we are doing that is adding a $50 deductible for an individual, a $150 family deductible to both plans, and increasing the plan allowance on the high plan to $2,000, which is a positive change. It's more dental dollars to use for the high plan.
Would it be okay if we ask questions as we go, or do you
Certainly.
need to do the whole presentation and we come back around to it?
I believe that's it.
Okay.
Just the executive overview.
Real briefly, like for example, with the dental, does the deductible come into account with preventative care, or is that only for repairs and other medical issues?
It is not on preventive care. So when you
Okay.
go in and get your annual checkup, your deductible is not going to apply. It's when you go and get fillings, root canals, crowns, and major work done.
And then on the medical, are there some annual health preventative measures that are included in that, or does the deductible kick in right away on those?
The deductible applies to things such as inpatient and outpatient care, as well as emergency room utilization. There are copays in place for primary care physician visits, specialist visits, copays for your prescription drugs. That is not changing. The deductible is going to apply in the same areas and in addition to the emergency room.
Okay, thank you very much. Council, any other questions?
This may not be a question for you, just a general question, and Trish, you may know the answer to this. So I have Anthem at where I work, and I think it's worked out great for me for the past 12 or 13 years that I've had it. With mine, I can choose to have Health Keepers one year and then a PPO the next year and flip back and forth depending on, and there's 4 or 5 different options depending on what I'd like to have come out of my check. Does everybody offer just one option, or can they get a higher deductible and have a lower cost come out of their paycheck, or is it different? Okay, I was just wondering. So so Health Keepers is the new one, and we had one before. Okay. Thank you.
And so for the $90,000, I was trying to read it, one-time administration cost credit. So what would that be? What is our total? Because it looks like there was a 2% premium increase across the board. Is that factored in before or after that 90% one-year credit?
It is in addition to the
Okay.
2.6% increase.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. So that would be after the fact too? Okay.
correct.
So to Todd and Trish, what does this mean for us from a budget standpoint as far as how we go with health insurance, or is it too soon to know? Well, that's very affordable compared to what we faced the last couple of years.
Correct.
Can we do a deeper dive at a later meeting after we've analyzed this with the employees to make sure, what does this mean for the average employee? What does this look like for folks? Because we've asked a couple of those questions tonight, but I'm sure there's several that it would be good to summarize so we know how it's going to change for folks and what that means for people. And Todd, I don't know, that's a question for you, I guess.
Yes, we can meet with employees and get some feedback, but I think this is a great plan. It's very comparable to what we currently have. And with it only going to cost $12,000 more in next year's budget, I think it's a great plan. As an employee, I think it's a great plan.
Okay.
There's not much change from what we've looked at. there's very minimal differentiation with the doctors that are in this network and the other network. I think it's minimal disruption to the employee. They can still get the same services, see the same doctors, and with the minimum increase.
Okay?
Question, did I understand the deductible for the single and the family did not change?
It is increasing.
What did it
So
go?
it's currently $1,000 for an individual.
Went
It's
up to
increasing to $1,500, so it's an additional $500 in responsibility. And again, those $500 are not going to go towards copays for your physician, your specialist, your prescription drugs. More so, you're going to see that if you go inpatient, have an outpatient surgery, go to the emergency room, that's where your deductible is going to come into play.
Was there also an increase in doctor, specialist, and GP?
Those copays are remaining the same. So
Okay.
$30 for your primary care, $50 for your specialist, $50 for urgent care. Those are remaining the same. Again, the biggest change you're going to see is the deductible. It's the additional $500 for an individual.
The tiering on the pharmacy stayed the same?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. I think there's no additional questions. We'll thank you very much for the presentation. Thank you for getting us a great plan, what it looks like for this next year. That's really a wonderful thing because we hated all the changes we had to make last year with the employee burden, so this is really helpful, and we appreciate it. We won't drop it at this, though. We'll come back and revisit it because I know we got to know, what does this look like in the budget? What does this look like to the employees? How does this impact everything? So thank you so much for the report.
Certainly. Thank you.
Thank you. We also have Chief Haywood here from the Fire Department who will provide us an update on what the Fire Department and EMS are doing. Chief, welcome.
Mayor, council members.
Will you pull that mic up more towards you? Thank you so much.
Good evening. Just a quick summary of what the fire department is looking like right now and where we need to be in the next little bit. So just to give you a little bit of brief history of the fire department. The fire department established back in 1902 as a corporate fire department. Then we transitioned into the 30s and 40s into the fire and rescue squad. We done that up until 1980. When Corrigan took over the EMS contract, Corrigan had that EMS contract until December of 2017, when the fire department took that back over, and we combined as a fire and rescue department, EMS department. When we did that, we were the first department in the NRV to combine fire and EMS services, which at that time, a lot of departments were looking at us, localities were looking at us to see what we did right and what we did wrong. Here we are today, and a lot of departments and localities around us have went to that model as well. Started out back in 2017 with 3 24-hour shifts, manned by 9 personnel per shift, with 1 float medic to help with overtime or vacation time, sick time, and all that. So transitioned in December of 2024 to 4 shifts, staffed by 7 personnel per shift to combat fatigue and burnout, which we'll talk about a little bit later in a couple slides. So. The next one is who we are. What we do at the firehouse is we wear many hats at the firehouse. One of the first things is we do fire and EMS. The next thing is emergency management works out of our department as well. We do fire inspections. We have 1 fire official, 1 fire inspector on shift right now, with 1 fire inspector going to class in June of this year. So, and that is a 2.5-week class. We also do rental inspections, which I'm currently in that role for an interim position. That position is currently open right now. We do swift water rescue, dive operations, rope rescue, registered CPR, training facility, and a Stop the Bleed program as well, all out of the fire department. Some of the department statistics is total call volumes for us is 2,970 calls per year. That is an average of 264 calls of service per month for the department. Average response time is 4 minutes and 45 seconds. The national average is 5 minutes and 20 seconds. So we're below the national average on that. So that's a good part for our men and women at the Fire and EMS department. 12 ROSC patients per year. That's a return of spontaneous respirations. And according to the National Heart Association, only 10% patients survive CPR started outside the hospital setting. So that's a really good testament to our men and women on the performance that they do outside the hospital.
So just to clarify, those are lives you saved basically through the CPR you provided?
Yes, sir. So recognized 6 times this past year by Korean New River Valley Medical Center and the cardiologist department for excellence in STEMI care and response time. Goes back to that average response time of 4 minutes and 45 seconds. So a total of 136 hours of continuing education hours logged by each shift. So that is each shift, times 4 on that. So that's a lot of overtime saved by going outside, getting outside training, and things like that. So a total of 73 hours of CPR taught by other city departments and the public. Going back to that other slide where we do in-house CPR training, we're able to do that for the public and other departments within the city. So the current SAP staffing budget that we have right now, and that's a standard administration procedure. We have 2 advanced life support medic trucks that are on the road 24/7. 1 staffed fire truck that consists going back to the advanced life support, that consists of 2 paramedics and 2 EMTs for both those medic trucks. The staffed fire truck is 1 captain, 1 lieutenant, and 1 firefighter. 16 part-time personnel at the current level that we have, which you all know that we have that open, and we're going in active interviews for that right now. Minimum staffing for us is 7 personnel per the SAP. Currently, we're maintaining that minimum with overtime and part-time due to the fact we're being 4 short on the active role now. So 4 full-time positions short. The salary comparison on the left-hand side is the NRV area. That is comparison for just about all the departments in the NRV. Firefighter EMT starts out about 46.4. Firefighter advanced 48.7. Firefighter paramedic is 54,000. On the right-hand side is our starting pay is 43 for the firefighter EMT. Firefighter advanced is 47, and firefighter paramedic is 53. So we are close to the comparison to the NRV. We're falling behind just a little bit though. Going into the mental and physical health, the fatigue, if you think about it, a 3 8-hour workday for the average citizen is packed into 1 24-hour shift at the firehouse. Sometimes, depending on the call volume, going back to the other, with the 2,970 calls a year, sometimes, you're running 2 and 3 calls a night. So that is the mental and the physical health impact on the firefighter EMTs that they go through on a given day. The work-life balance, again, you're gone for 24 hours at a time. the reason we went back to that, 24, 72-hour shift is to give them a little bit more of that work-life balance. So that's why we went to that. And a lot of departments nationwide are looking at that model as well, going to that 24, 72 shift for that work-life balance. So the fatigue of the job, the high intensity, unpredictable emergency responses, it comes with the job. Just like PD and us, we never know what that next call is going to be. So the high stress situations, the call volume, high stress calls, the cardiac, the gunshot wounds, the MVCs, and this is just some of the calls that we encounter on a daily basis. So our call volume each year, as you notice in our budget, are creeping up each year. They're usually increasing about 100 to 200 calls per year. So on an average. Mental health just continued over to the next one. Due to the high stress call volumes, cardiovascular disease leading cause of on-duty deaths among fire and EMS. Fire and EMS personnel are exposed to an average of 800 traumatic events in their career compared to 1 or 2 for the average person. Behavioral health issues such as PSD and depression are significantly higher in the fire and EMS field. The needs of the fire and EMS department are, restore the budgeted positions to alleviate the part-time and overtime strains, increase pay to the compete with the surrounding localities for the increased staffing retention, and the vehicle replacement program. We need to start looking at that down the road so we can replace our EMS vehicles, because most of them have, we got one that, or 2 of them that's over 100,000 miles, and they're, the maintenance costs are starting to trickle up on those. So on the last slide, it's the Western Virginia EMS Council. I'd like to just touch on this because it is a line item for us, and I think we've had a couple discussions about it. The current budget on it is $4,816 in the line item. And what this does, it develops, and this comes all through the Western Virginia EMS Council. It develops and maintains our operational treatment protocols, what our providers go by as far as the treatment of patients and stuff. Provides and supports training programs at no charge to the localities, and we utilize those a lot. And a lot of them that we have to send out for third party usually cost us about $300 or $400 per provider. So if we stay within the Western Virginia EMS Council, they bring that to us at no charge to us. So that's a significant savings just on that account. Then it provides guidance for the Rescue Squad Assistance Fund, the RSAF grant. We can utilize that to purchase equipment and ambulances and stuff like that. So, and then facilitates equipment exchange program with the area hospitals. Going into that, there's a long list, and I can provide that to you if you need be, as far as nasal cannulas and just all sorts of medical equipment that we use on our calls and stuff. We go to the hospital and they exchange that out for free. It's not really for free, but it's in that part of that program that is set up through Western Virginia EMS Council. So that's all I have. Quick, short, and
Chief, thank you so much for your presentation tonight. I had about 3 or 4 questions, and I know everybody
Yes,
else
sir.
has some as well. And Todd, while you're on the line, if you can answer him where you're able to. But to start with, so the call volume, we're at just under 3,000 calls a year.
Yes, sir.
And you're saying that's growing 100 to 200 calls a year over the last, several? Is that accurate?
yes, sir.
Okay. How does that compare? Do we have an average comparison for how we are compared to some of our sister communities?
Just take Pulaski County, for instance. Their departments over there, and this is average run volume for them, is around 55 to 6,000 calls for the whole county.
And what's the size comparison? Because I think we're at about 24 full-time folks right now. Is that accurate?
We are at, on the full-time count at the firehouse, we're at 30 full-time people.
30, okay.
And that is 28 providers and 2 admin personnel.
How would that compare to like our neighbors in Pulaski County? Do you have any idea what their numbers would be?
I would not know that.
If
I would
there
have
was
to-
a way to find out so we can see, for the call
do that.
volume, are we, above, below average, things like that,
Okay.
and go from there. Can you go back, and Melissa, I hate to do this because I know the technology's so tough. Can we go back to talking about what's on a shift? Because I know there's been a lot of discussion that 7 seems like a lot on a shift, but when you break it down where it's different tasks and different responsibilities.
Should be,
I think it's 3 pages back, maybe, 4. Yeah, there we go.
yep, 4th page.
So can you talk about, out of the 7 that are on a shift, if we were to have a couple EMS calls in an hour and a fire, how would that be managed?
Okay, so on a typical day, the EMS truck runs on all the EMS calls. Unless we have a lift assist and a fire truck or a second truck will go out. If we have a fire call, typically what happens is, what we call dump the house. Every, vehicle will go there. The fire truck and both medic trucks will go on that fire call. What we have to look at is if that medic truck is already out on a medical call or coming back or going to the hospital to drop off a patient. So that's when our numbers start, decreasing. If we have 2 EMS calls at the same time, both medic trucks are out, we have a fire call, the fire truck is going out by themselves. They do not have those medic trucks to back them up on that. So they're only going out with 3 personnel. When everything is just right and everybody's in-house, 7 people's going out on a fire call. But like I say, if both medic trucks are tied up at that time, only that fire truck is going on that fire call at one time.
Okay.
So,
And then,
So can I have a
yeah, sure, go
question?
ahead, yeah.
So what happens if you just had a catastrophe and you had 2 fires and, and there was 3 EMS calls and you really didn't have enough people? Or do we call and get support from other municipalities in our area? What?
we have
Okay,
We have mutual aid agreements with all surrounding departments. We have them with Fire Lawn, Snowville, and Christiansburg.
Okay.
So when we have that with the county departments, so
Okay.
we can call on any of them.
okay. And when we have to do that, I mean, I really hope that we never have to, but I'm sure it's happened in the past. Do we have to reimburse them when we use them?
No.
Or is that a friendly, we're
It
a
is.
community and help everybody? Okay.
It is. It's just a in-kind gesture.
Okay.
So it goes both ways because they call us to come and help them and
Okay.
vice versa for it.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
yep.
Like you have enough staffing that if we're called for mutual aid, when we have this level of call volume, that we're able to manage that? Because that would be a concern for me. These are a little less than 10 calls a day, but still, that's a lot depending on the timing of everything.
We do, and what typically happens is we go for mutual aid across into Pulaski County a lot on an EMS call. And just to give you a scenario on that, if we already have a medic truck out, we'll tell them that we don't have the personnel to respond to that call. Or if the medic truck can do a quick turnaround at the hospital, we'll do that. But a lot of times we'll look at that and see where our personnel are. If both medic trucks are already out, we have to decline that mutual aid, which they've done that to us as well. They've just been so backed up, they don't have the medic truck to go out with it. The good part about ours too, and I'll add this in, is both fire trucks, we have 2 fire trucks that are EMS certified. So if we do have 2 EMS calls back to back and have that 3rd EMS call, we can send a fire truck out to take care of the EMS call until an ambulance from either our side or a mutual aid can come in and transport them.
But that's where you have so many of everybody's cross-trained, right?
Everybody's
For fire
cross-trained.
and EMS? Okay.
Yes.
Sorry, go ahead.
How often, sorry, one more. About how often do we have to call on other areas to come and help us? Is that something that happens on a regular basis, or?
As
hopefully it's
far
not
as
that
an EMS
often?
call or a
Mutual
fire
aid.
call?
Mutual aid, so where we don't have the resources to handle our own calls, and we have to call on other areas, other municipalities, mutual aid to help us with our own calls, how often does that happen? About
For
a lot?
EMS calls, we try not to let that happen. We try to cover all of our calls, the best we can.
Okay.
Fire calls, if we have anything that is significant, take the fire call that we just had in the dark side on the campus.
Yeah.
We called fire loan in to help us with that, just
Okay.
with some more manpower and a truck and stuff. So
So maybe larger fires, you call a
Larger
little bit more
fires.
on to help, and then
Yeah.
EMS calls, we typically are able to handle those ourselves unless it's a
Yes,
big
ma'am.
fire and a couple, okay.
yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
The call that we had in the east end here back when it was real cold, we called in 2 departments just because where the weather was fighting against us. And we, called on them to get a little bit more manpower because we had to circulate people a whole lot more.
It's not just Pulaski. You also have regional partnerships with Montgomery County as well, right? That
Yes, sir.
we could tap into.
Yes,
And-
sir.
And if a call came in at the same time, 2 calls came at the same time, you will always respond to the Radford call first, I'm assuming, if there was a mutual aid call
Yes,
at the
sir.
same time?
Yes, sir. We would deny the mutual aid call and handle our own first.
Right.
So we have mutual aid agreements with Pulaski County, Montgomery County, and also the Arsenal. So,
You talked about 100 to 200 additional calls per year.
yes, sir.
Can you break that down into fire, EMS, mental health? I'm assuming fire probably doesn't vary that much, but I may be wrong.
We average probably out of those calls, we're probably looking at 700 to 800 fire calls. That's, and that's fire alarms down to Radford University. We have quite a few of those. And, actual fire calls and, all that's in the budget as well when I do the budget for the budget books. But fire calls, we probably have about 15 to 20 of those, and that's anywhere from, structure, residential, commercial, to vehicle fires and stuff
I
like
may
that.
not have asked the question correctly. I'm talking about the increases over the years. Are they
Yeah.
the increases in fire calls or more EMS calls?
Both.
And so they're going up equally?
Going up equally. So, and it's just the standard statistic everywhere. Call volume is going up everywhere. So it's not only here, it's everywhere.
And I know Todd had kind of asked you this. Are we billing for our fire calls and our EMS calls? Are we billing insurances?
Mr. Meredith has asked me about that on the billing on the fire call part, and I'm looking into that and have a couple companies that do that I'm gonna bring to him for him to take a look at. So,
All right, thank you. And you provide, or you or him provide an update with those vendors when you get the opportunity?
yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. And we already do third-party billing on our EMS side, which that's Quick Med Claims, and we've used that company for many years. So,
Thank you.
Can we go back to the Western Virginia EMS Council, the 4816? Did you bring that to our attention because that's money you feel like we need to spend? Is it something we're already spending?
Yes, sir.
Which is that? We're already spending it, or?
we already spending that.
Okay.
That is a line item, and I know that's.
You want to preserve that, I'm assuming, is what you're saying.
Talked about as maybe a possible cut, and I just, like to put that out there for us to keep that, so.
So back to that, these are the benefits as we talk about it, not only the treatment and training protocols, but the guidance for the Rescue Squad Assistance Fund that helps funding equipment and ambulance services, and then facilitate your equipment exchange program with area hospitals. Any idea of what that actually saves us? I mean, I get on some of the training, we'd likely have to pay additional training cost on that, but for the rescue squad assistance and the equipment exchange, is there any ballpark of what that looks like?
As far as the RSAF grant, you know, we've actually participated in it in the past. Our Medic 2 that we actually have right now was purchased with that funding, and I believe it's probably not the correct number, but we received from that grant process about $160,000 to purchase that ambulance. So, and that's just part of that, to where they give us guidance. Hey, this is coming up, you know, and, you know, kind of help us with the grant process.
Okay.
So,
And any idea of what the equipment exchange would look like? If we didn't have that program, we'd have to purchase that equipment, or are there other
we
sources
would have to
for it?
purchase that equipment.
Is that $1,000 worth of equipment, 10,000? What does that look like?
Just off the top of my head, you're probably looking at an additional $4,000 or $5,000 extra dollars
Okay.
in our budget.
Well, that's helpful for us to know that that $4,800 has, you know, so many $1,000s worth of value that,
Yes.
you know, you might have to spend otherwise. I appreciate
sir.
that. Todd, this is a question for you. Excuse me. With what the chief's talking about with changes potentially to some of the starting pay and the other pieces that are mentioned in there for the employees at the fire department and EMS, what's that looking like to cost us, and how does that work with the budget we currently have?
I'll have to work those numbers up. I don't have those,
Okay. All right. Well, that would be helpful.
but
to
we'll
know.
get them together.
Yeah, that would be helpful to know, I think, to understand where we are as we go into the budget season and to see where we are. Chief, thank you for bringing this to our attention. Counselor, are there any other questions?
I guess the only other question that I have is, I know you're holding on the 4 full-time positions. Have you not been able to respond to any calls or anything like that because of that, or, you know, any deaths or you know, something tragic like that?
No, sir, not as of today.
Right.
So the only thing that we have right now, if I could say, is it is a scheduling. I would say the best word to describe it is a nightmare. Just to get the holes filled with vacation time, sick time. You know, flu season was hard on us. Just trying to fill those holes. So, and you know, vacation season's getting ready to come up. So, it's just going to be a scheduling nightmare for us. So, just to maintain that 7 on each shift.
Thank you, Chief.
All right, and Chief, if you and Todd can work together on getting us some additional numbers for what we're talking about. I saw what the difference was. It's just a couple $1,000s on the difference between the average pay and Radford's pay, but that's not the whole story, I'm sure. And,
Yes, sir.
and we need to know what that looks like if we can, so we understand it going into the budget season this year. Is there anything else you want to share with us?
No, sir. Thank you all for your.
Thank you so much, and thank you to you and all the members of the Radford Fire and EMS for all that you do for us. I know how tough a job this is, and we're so appreciative of the work that you do. Please don't take any discussion or questions like this as anything less than our full respect for your hard work and dedication to serving Radford and all the people that live here, and we do appreciate it.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Chief.
Okay, we do have some proclamations to look at this evening, and even though at our last meeting we recognized a lot of our Radford High School students, we have one who was a little under the weather that day, and we want to take some time to recognize him. So I have a proclamation for Radford High School golf. Whereas Radford High School has long enjoyed great success in golf throughout the years, and whereas the Radford High School golf team and coaches continue to work diligently to compete and improve, and whereas in 2025, Hunter Chris placed 4th in the state finals, and whereas VHSL Class 2A first team All-State recognition goes to Hunter Christ, and now therefore we, the City Council of Radford, Virginia, to hereby offer the highest congratulations to Hunter Christ for these distinguished accomplishments, making the City of Radford very proud. I'd like to make a motion that we adopt this proclamation. Do we have a second? Second. A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Hunter, come on down. We want to give you your award. Let's have a round of applause for Hunter. It is always great to celebrate our Bobcats. March is Women's History Month, recognized nationally and internationally. The designation highlights the historic and ongoing critical roles that women have made to the economy, cultural and social progress, and the leadership, workforce, the military, as well as equal opportunity. We have a proclamation this evening locally that recognizes the importance of this designation. And Kelly, I think you have that for us.
I do. Women's History Month, moving forward together. Whereas American women of every race, color, and ethnic background have made historic contributions to the growth and strength of our nation in countless recorded and unrecorded ways. And whereas American women have played and continue to play critical economic, cultural, and social role in every sphere of the life of constituting a significant portion of the local workforce, inside and outside of the home. And whereas American women have played a unique role throughout the history of the United States by providing the majority of the volunteer labor force, and whereas American women were particularly important in the establishment of early charitable, philanthropic, and cultural institutions throughout the country, and whereas American women of every race, color, and ethnic background served as early leaders in the forefront of every major progressive social change movement, and whereas American women have served our country courageously in the military, and whereas American women have been leaders not only in securing their own rights of suffrage and equal opportunity, but also in the abolishment movement, the emancipation movement, and industrial labor movement, the civil rights movement, and other movements, especially the peace movement, which created a fair and just society for all. And whereas, despite these contributions, the role of American women in history has been consistently overlooked and undervalued in the literature, teaching, and study of American history. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Radford City Council that March is designated as Women's History Month, and the council calls upon the people of Radford to observe March as Women's History Month with appropriate programs, ceremonies, and activities. I would like to make a motion to accept this proclamation.
Thank you, Kelly. We have a motion. Do we have a second? Second. A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you all very much, and happy Women's History Month to all the folks out there. We're so appreciative of the work that's done, and hopefully we can put more of a spotlight on it. I know Glencoe Mansion has been doing a really good job of celebrating women's history here in Radford, so be sure to check out the mansion and their social media posts. We also want to recognize Emergency Management Professionals Week here in the state of Virginia. That is March the 15th through the 21st, and it's proclaimed by the General Assembly and the Virginia Department of Emergency Management to recognize, honor, and show appreciation for the dedication of those that work in the profession of emergency management. Guy, I believe you have a proclamation for us.
I do indeed. Emergency Management Professionals Week. Whereas the emergency managers of the City of Radford and the Commonwealth of Virginia work tirelessly behind the scenes to build safer, stronger, and more resilient communities in the face of natural disasters, terrorism, pandemics, civil unrest, and other threats and hazards. And whereas emergency managers are the vital link to and between essential services that help communities prepare for, respond to, and recover from emergencies. And whereas emergency managers provide the leadership, management, and operational skills necessary to enable their communities, organizations, and agencies to develop emergency plans and procedures, ensure personnel is adequately trained and exercise plans, provide emergency warnings, notifications, and alerts, and acquire resources to protect lives and property and enhance resiliency to emergency events. And whereas the role of emergency managers in ensuring a safer, healthier, and more resilient community is more important than ever, now therefore be it resolved by the Radford City Council, do hereby proclaim March 15 through 26 as Emergency Management Professionals Week in the City of Radford, and urge all citizens to honor the employees of the City of Radford's emergency management and to recognize their service and commitment to the lives, health, and safety of all who live, visit, and do business in the city of Radford and region. Mayor, I would move for acceptance of this proclamation.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Second. A motion and a second. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. All right, let's hear it for our EMS professionals, our emergency management team. Fire, come on down. We'd like to give this to you. We appreciate you all. Council, we do have one more piece of business this evening under new business. It is Appropriation Ordinance 1815.33. The Radford Sheriff's Office, in partnership with New River Valley Community Services, has established a Crisis Intervention Team Access Center program to assist persons experiencing a mental health crisis throughout the New River Valley, and that is fully funded through an allocation from the Commonwealth of Virginia General Fund and other grant sources. The city of Radford incurs no financial obligation, but we do need to approve the full appropriation ordinance. It's in the amount of $741,882. And as such, do we have a motion that we approve appropriation ordinance 1815.33? We have a motion. Do we have a second? Second. A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Having heard 4 affirmative votes, we can dispense with a second reading if so desired. Is there a motion we do so? So moved. We have a motion. Do we have a second? Second. A motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. All right. Our city manager, we're so glad that you're with us, Todd. We're sorry that you're not physically with us and that you're under the weather. And I know you've sent forward a couple of things for Melissa to share on your behalf. So Melissa, we'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a reminder to everyone about the procurement process, specifically for the forensic audit. The City of Radford does follow the process required under the Virginia Public Procurement Act for professional services procurement. This process is called competitive negotiation. So after receiving the proposals for the forensic audit services, the city evaluated the submissions. They ranked them based on the criteria outlined within the RFP, including qualifications and approach. And then the city is currently in the process of negotiating the top-ranked firm. Under state law, negotiations may only occur with one firm at a time, beginning with the highest-ranked proposal. If an agreement cannot be reached, negotiations would formally end and move on to the next ranked firm. This process ensures the city selects the firm that provides the best overall proposal for the work. We expect to have the contract ready for City Council's approval at your next March meeting, which is on the 23rd. So more to come very shortly.
Okay.
And just one more thing, Public Works team has begun making repairs to the potholes throughout the city. They will continue doing that throughout the spring, so we greatly appreciate all their hard work.
And I do know that they're identifying potholes across the city. If you all have any, you can be sure to email any of us. We will pass it along to try to make sure we don't miss anybody. This was a really tough winter season. The storms we had did do some pretty significant damage, so I know they're working on that. I know I've had a lot of people reach out to me about it, and that they're concerned that we need to get on that, and I know we're working on it. Todd, anything else you want to share with us?
That's it.
Sir, feel better, and we'll see you real soon. Hopefully you'll be on the mend before you know it. Guy, what do you have for us this evening?
Well, I want to make an apology for a comment I made. last meeting regarding the Second Amendment sanctuary city. I said that I had Googled and AI'd some information that told me that 95% of the political jurisdictions had approved a resolution. I got got an email from Cardinal News reporter who was asking me where I went for my information because he was doing some kind of little thing on AI. And he and I got into a discussion, and we both agreed after delving into it further that only 46% of jurisdictions have passed resolutions, including townships, cities, and counties. The county was the 95%. Now, maybe I just picked that up and didn't read it carefully or not. I don't know. But I apologize for making that mistake.
Thank you.
The other thing I would like to bring up is there's an important constitutional amendment going to be voted on the 21st, and the early voting, of course, started last Friday. And I just wanted to make mention, for those who value my opinion, I feel like our current procedure, the redistricting commission, is a fair and equitable way to handle this, and I do not believe we need to change that. So I would encourage the people that value my opinion to vote no on that amendment. I picked up at the elections office a brochure put out by the state, and it talked a little bit about the proposed amendment would give the General Assembly the authority to redraw one or more of Virginia's congressional districts before 2031 in limited circumstances. The General Assembly's power to do so would continue until 31st of 2030, and the Virginia Redistricting Commission would resume the responsibility of drawing the congressional districts. Seems funny to me that, you know, if they're going to let it go back to what it is now in 2030, then, you know, why are they wanting to change it? And there's been some publicity about the 10-to-1 deal that the current party in power is wanting to do. I put a link on my Facebook page to the, I think it's chapter 62, that outlines and explains totally how our current process works. 16 members on the commission, 8 of them being political members, 4 and 4 split between Republican and Democrat, and the other 8 being citizens who have to actually apply and pass certain restrictions, and then are put into a pot by, I think, a 5 panel retired judges, and then goes back to the politicians to then pick out of the 8. So sounds to me like it's a pretty fair way of doing things. So I would just encourage those who feel like I do that we vote no on that. That's all I have.
Seth, what do you have?
First, I'd like to send out my prayers and condolences to the Rakuya family. I know that that's affected a lot of people in this community, and him and his brother AJ were actually on the first basketball team I ever coached at the rec department, and fond memories of them and thinking about their family. I think I saw where Joe commented that, you know, the healing and the hurt's really just beginning as things settle down. So please keep them and their family in your thoughts and prayers during this time. I just can't even begin to imagine what they're going through. Also, some good news. Michael McCallan, a local real estate agent, has agreed to purchase the other scoreboard at Veterans. So him and his business will be incurring that cost. So again, that's another Radford person and Radford business stepping up and doing a good thing. So thank you to Michael. And he also serves on the rec commission, so Michael's an active guy. Appreciate him, and that new scoreboard will look good. Wanted to take a minute to thank Trish and her team. I know you guys are working long and hard hours, and a lot of the stuff that you're doing is a little bit in the past as well, and then we're asking things of the current, so please know that we appreciate all that you're doing, and If you drive by here and there's a light on, I can almost guarantee it's hers and her department. They're working hard, and I sleep better at night knowing that we have that team firing on all cylinders. So thanks for all you're doing. We appreciate you guys. And I talked to Todd a little bit about this as well. I know we're going through what we want the 4th of July celebration to look like, but I've had 2 local businesses reach out to me. If we could establish the date, because they are looking to book or, have events, book talent, things like that. So if we could go ahead and publish a date, and then what we're actually going to do, or fireworks, things like that, we can coalesce around that. But I do think that it would be beneficial to our business community if we could go ahead and get a date for the celebration this year. I think that would be helpful to a lot of them. Congratulations to Radford Coffee on their 10 years in business. Always love supporting our businesses when we get the opportunity to, and 10 years doesn't happen by chance. So congratulations to them, and wish them 10 more. Last thing I have is, I know that we, at our next, at our next meeting, next time that we meet with our budget, if we have a budget meeting, if we could include the treasurer and the commissioner of revenue, I think that it would be a good opportunity to bring them in and have them in on those meetings as we move forward. So that's all I got.
Thank you. Kelly, what do you have?
I was going to ask about 4th of July as well. Definitely want an update on that. Congratulations to Hunter Christ for your golf accomplishments. I have not played that much golf, but I learned very quickly I don't have enough patience to do that. So if you don't get anything else out of golf, patience will serve you well in life. I would like to say that, and I think I probably speak for Jessie too, sitting up here as a woman on council is something that that I take very seriously, and I'm very appreciative. I know that she and I both have worked with some very dedicated, strong, selfless women in our community that do amazing things, from volunteering to sitting as city employees, and just doing amazing things and keeping our city going. So I really appreciate all of you all, and I'm proud to be standing beside you in all the hard work that we do. I will have a Joint Commission update next meeting. My meeting is tomorrow. We did make some good progress on audits in our closed session, so I'm excited to share all those things next time. Chief, thank you to all of the great updates you gave us for the fire and EMS team. You guys are working hard every day, and we really appreciate everything that you do, and we truly do have the best out there. Definitely, also my condolences to the Recrea family. I watched my mother lose my brother, and I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. So they've been in my thoughts and prayers, and I was thankful to be able to hug their necks last week. And so always thinking of them and as they go through. And thank you for everybody that spoke today. I appreciate both sides coming out and sharing your thoughts. We always want to hear from everyone and how you feel about what we're doing up here. And I think that's all I have. Oh, happy St. Patrick's Day. Good luck to everybody this month.
Thank you, Kelly. My thoughts have been with the Rakuya family as well. I didn't know Joe much earlier than when he was hired back in 2007. But I got to know him fairly well over the years working at Radford University, and a little bit about his family, knew the kids when they were very little. And it is a really sad situation, not only for his family, for the Highlander baseball family and the entire Radford community. And I know we're hoping for healing for all of the family and friends and everyone connected. Certainly we'll miss Joey, and it's a very sad situation. My thoughts have also been with the Asbury family as they're dealing with some health issues for Bob, who has been such a wonderful servant of this community, certainly someone who has given his life for public service in the city of Radford, and we're thinking about all of them as well as they go through a challenging family time. I won't say anything further related to that, but I did want to congratulate Hazel Rachel Doyle, and the Radford Coffee Company on 10 years, and to say what an incredible job they've done to keep that business going and thriving and growing and becoming such an essential part of the community. I also wanted to thank Eric and Barbara Johnson, the original team that pulled together the Radford Coffee Company. That, along with Brickhouse Pizza, Kibbles on Main, and many of the other things that happened, were really the nucleus of what allowed the west end of Main Street to start to come back alive. And if you went through there and 15, 20 years ago, it was a very different place. And I think so many people have invested. There's been public investment, private investment. People have come together to help make things happen. The beautiful Triangle Park that we have, that we're so appreciative of folks helping make that possible. Just a lot that's happened to really transform this city. And I truly believe that it's a great example of what we can do together as a community to be the very best version of Radford that we can be, and to move forward in that direction. I did want to mention, too, the audit that's been brought up several times, and I'm really thankful to everybody for their patience. This has been a long process to go through to make sure we're doing the procurement correctly, that we're getting the services that will hopefully help further understand exactly the challenges that we have faced, and that will help us to be able to make good decisions moving forward as we review what occurred. There will be more to share, although we're not quite ready for that until the next meeting, and then we'll go from there and hopefully be able to share more from there. It is still a long process, though. We won't be done for several more months beyond that once they get started on the audit. I did want to address a couple of things that were brought up this evening. Preston, Mr. Beamer, I've known you a long time, and I'm sorry for the experiences that you shared with us this evening. I know our police are very attentive to what goes on in the city, and I know we're going to have further discussion as they'll have an annual report for us and talk about crime in the city. It's always tough in a vibrant community like Radford when you have a lot of different neighborhoods and a lot of people coming through this community, and we don't want anyone to feel unsafe in the city of Radford. We want to make sure that we're dealing with things as we need to, and I'm very, very confident in the Radford City Police Department, Chief Holdaway, for the work that they do, and really thankful for that. And then to Mr. Gleason's comments, I would like to address a couple things specifically. In 2019, what was happening was various communities around us were having very large-scale meetings with the Second Amendment sanctuary discussion, and so I think people were very aware that the VCDL was organizing groups to go to different localities, and Radford was one of the groups that was listed, and it was publicized really for a couple of months prior to coming into the council in December of that year. What occurred that evening was we had a full house, and about 27 folks spoke on the issue, both for and against Sanctuary City, and expressed their concerns about their rights being taken away, expressed concerns about gun safety. We had a number of school families that talked about the experiences that they had had and the concerns that they had had. There was a motion made that evening by a member of council to move forward with the Second Amendment sanctuary designation, and it had not been publicized then, but there was no second for that motion, which is why no action was taken at that point in time. And I recall all this very clearly. However, I did feel like it was important enough that that be shared with our representatives. I called Chris Hurst, I called Ben Chafin, that was our delegate and our senator, and we prepared letters that I read some of last time to express what had occurred. We sent the whole meeting. So the whole point was that we did send a message of what the concerns were for the city of Radford without going down the sanctuary pathway. You asked what laws should be obeyed, and I would like to address that a little bit. Once laws are made in the Commonwealth of Virginia, once they're on the books, we have to uphold those laws until they're found to be unconstitutional, and there's a process to go through for that. Same with federal laws, same with the Supreme Court of both the state and the federal government. And so that's the process that we uphold as part of the Constitution. Those are part of the Constitution as well, and I think that's important. I say all this because I fully understand the concerns that some folks have. And I did think it was interesting. The reason I knew more about the Heller decision, the reason I knew about that particular Justice Scalia quote, and the reason I had my letter was I had had several people asking me about guns much earlier, before any Second Amendment sanctuary was coming up, and those were things that I had done my own research on so that I could be knowledgeable about the subject and understand more about it. It had nothing to do with what was going to occur at our last meeting. I was unaware that a motion was going to be made for us to move forward that evening, and I certainly would have preferred that we put it on the agenda, have an open discussion, and invite folks in to share their thoughts. I didn't know if we would end up having that tonight, which is why I had asked Melissa if she could prepare something, because I wasn't sure what things were going to look like. Normally, we have very few folks that come in and speak to us, and we always invite people to come in and share their thoughts with what they think, but I wanted to make sure that it was a good process, and that's what we've tried to provide for the city, is a good process, whether we agree on all the issues together or not. And I hope that's what we can continue to do moving forward. I will say, following that meeting, one of the agreements we had among us on council was that we wouldn't bring up any last-minute motions or things like that we hadn't really had a chance to consider among us as council members. That's been several years, but I do think that's a positive thing, not only for us on council, but also for our community, so that we're prepared to put those things on an agenda, and that we've had some level of discussion to prepare the community to be able to comment on those things. Because I do think it's important that we're as transparent as possible. The fact that this is going out streaming, the fact that you all are here this evening and we published our agenda and you know where we're meeting, when we're meeting, that's all really important and something we try to do. I would like to point out that our next meeting on March 23rd, that is a regular meeting. We do have several special meetings related to the budget, April 1st, April 6th, and April 13th. We do have a regular meeting as well scheduled for April the 13th as well. We will be streaming all those meetings so that you can watch the budget process as it goes, and I do strongly encourage people to participate. We think things are moving in a positive direction for the city, but I don't have the full answer for where we are, if our budget is fully sustainable with the rates, the fees, the expenses that we have. I think we're working through that. And thank you, Seth, for bringing this up, and thank you, Trish, and your team. We're trying to figure out all the things that may not be exactly the way we need them, and to get them in a place where we can definitively say, this is where we are, this is where we're going, this is the work that needs to be done, and this is what needs to happen. So those will be taking place at those meetings. We'll be sharing as much as we have. We have always shared the information that has been shared with us as council with you as a community, and I continue to do so as much as I can. I appreciate everybody participating in the process. I think that's really important. And I hope to see more folks come to these meetings regardless of how you feel about any one issue, because it is very important that you not only observe what's going on, but that you're aware of what's happening in the community. There's a lot going on in Virginia. There's a lot going on in America. There's a lot going on in the world, and I know there's a lot of high emotions related to all of it. We do have an election coming up that's going on now with early voting, and April the 21st is Election Day officially in Radford and in the Commonwealth. I encourage you to research information and make up your own mind about the decisions that you need to make as you move forward with this process. And, continue to stay engaged. That's the best I can suggest. With that, we will go on and ask for a motion to adjourn. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor, say good night. Good night.